Hello! In this video, I will show you how I restored the glow plug system in my BMW to full working condition by spending one weekend on it. I will show you the problems encountered during glow plug diagnostics, explain what was happening with my glow plug control module, show you how I removed all the damaged components and replaced them with new ones, and at the end, I will reveal a secret about the power supply of the entire system that will help you avoid damage in the future, keeping a lot of money in your pocket. Let's get to work. I'm starting right now. First, diagnostics, because I want to show you why I decided to work on my glow plug system at all. The great thing is that you don't need a specialized computer costing several $1,000s or pay for it at a service center, because for this test, you can use a cheap interface for $25 that connects to an app on your phone. When you scan the car, all currently present faults will appear on your phone screen, and here is how to interpret them. If you see a fault for one or several glow plugs, start by checking them and replacing the faulty ones. In a moment, I will show you exactly how to do it. If you have already checked everything and replaced the damaged glow plugs with new ones, but the scan still shows faults on the same plugs, it means that the problem lies in the control module circuit that powers them, and in this case, the issue is with the power supply itself because it is simply not present. And that is why the fault appears. Repairing this type of problem requires sending the entire module for refurbishment. There is also a possibility that you will see a fault for all glow plugs, even after replacing them with brand new ones. In such a situation, this is an indication that the power connector of the entire glow plug control module is most likely burnt, and the module is not supplying power to any of the glow plugs. In my case, after scanning I can see several errors, and during this episode I will explain them and together we will figure out what they come from. It is time for what I like the most, which is loosening a few screws and taking a deep look under the hood, a perfect plan. The car I will be working on is a BMW E61 with a 3-litre diesel engine, the m57n version. To reach the glow plugs and be able to remove them, I first need to take off the engine cover. I start by disconnecting the cabin filter on the left side, which is held in place by plastic screws that can be unlocked by turning them 90 degrees. I also need to remove the metal clip that secures it from the top. Then I repeat the exact same procedure on the right side of the car. Next, I remove the main seal by simply sliding it off, and I disconnect the center link between the filter panels, which only needs to be pressed slightly downward so it can be easily pulled out toward you. The panels under the filters require turning another 3 screws 90 degrees around the main opening and 1 screw in the center connector. You will have no trouble with any of this. I repeat the same steps on the other side of the car and take off the entire panel, setting it aside. Now, at the support bracket, I unclip the plastic cover first from one side, then from the other. It is not screwed in, it is held by clips. Then I remove the 4 screws holding the bracket itself, because taking it off will allow me to reach the plastic engine cover that we need to remove. I put the bracket aside so it doesn't get in the way, and I remove all the engine cover screws, which I also marked on the screen. After taking them out, I remove the first large section of the cover, remembering that I need to take off the oil filler cap so I don't catch on it. Then I pull out the second, smaller cover piece. Now comes the second part of the disassembly. To reach the glow plugs, we also need to remove the intake manifold. So first, I loosen all the intake runner studs that connect to the engine block, but I don't remove them yet. This prevents unwanted stress on the rest of the assembly. Then I do the same with the bolts hidden deeper inside. I loosen each one first, and only when the manifold separates evenly from the block will I remove all the bolts completely. Next, I disconnect the throttle body electrical connector. To do this easily, you need to press both sides inward. Then it will slide out with almost no resistance. I continue with the EGR cooler hose area where there is a clamp band that I loosen. This allows us to remove the intake manifold together with the throttle body and the EGR valve without taking each part apart separately. Next, I disconnect the pressure sensor plug on the manifold. Right below it, there is another electrical connector hidden a bit deeper. I unplug that one as well. I also remove the bolt that holds the dipstick tube in place. On the right side, There is a vacuum hose that controls the swirl flaps in this model. I disconnect it by sliding the end off the fitting. Finally, I remove the clip from the main air duct and pull the duct off firmly in this direction so the whole assembly can be released. At this stage, the entire unit can be taken out of the car in one piece without any problem. Now we have full access to all the glow plugs, which don't stand a chance against us. They will have to come out. I start by removing all the small power connectors. And now, the most important part. These glow plugs have never been removed before. They have been sitting in this engine for 21 years, and I confirmed that based on their production date after removing them. There is a method that helps even in cases this difficult. I use WD-40 to spray each glow plug before removing it. I do it once in the morning, again in the afternoon, and once more in the evening. Only after the whole day, when the fluid has had time to penetrate the threads of the glow plugs, do I start removing them. From experience, I know this method always works. Without it, they might still come out, but it would definitely be much harder, and there is always a chance that in really difficult cases, one of them could break. And that creates a lot of complications and extra work. Fortunately, you can make the job easier, but it requires proper preparation and a bit of time. I take out all the glow plugs one by one and bring them outside to take a closer look. It's easy to see that their best days are long gone, and now we'll check whether they even work after all this time. For this, you'll need a multimeter with a resistance measurement function. I set it to the lowest resistance range, which in my case is 600 ohms. Now I place one end of the meter lead on both ends of the glow plug. A resistance reading should appear on the meter display, and it should fall between half an ohm and 2.5 ohms. If we see no reading at all, it means the glow plug is completely burned out and not working. What is the final result of this test? It turns out that among all 6 glow plugs that were installed in my car, 3 do not work at all, 1 is damaged, and 2 are functional. In one word, a complete disaster. The only reason the car was starting was the warm weather. In winter, there would be no chance of starting the engine with the glow plug system in such condition. Now I'm going back to my car to install 6 brand new ones. But before I begin, I will first clean the socket, wiping it with a carbon cleaning preparation. After cleaning the seats, I put all the glow plugs back in their places, first tightening each one by hand so I can feel the thread and make sure it engages correctly. Then, I tighten each of them with a torque wrench set to 15 Newton meters, and here, a long socket or a box wrench will be very helpful to avoid damaging the plugs, so it's worth getting one. At this point, the entire replacement has been successfully completed. Before we go any further, I want to tell you a few words about the glow plug controller. If you're replacing the glow plugs, you probably want your car to start smoothly after a long rest and in winter. Replacing the glow plugs is only half the job. For everything to work properly, the glow plug controller must be fully functional. There are 2 ways to check it. The first method is the scan we performed at an earlier stage, and here the result suggests a failure of the entire controller, not just a single glow plug, so I will use the second method to verify this theory and either confirm or rule it out. I remove the glow plug control module and check it with a multimeter. Why is this worth doing? Because after removing it and testing it on the bench, you will know for sure that the problem is the controller itself and not the wire between the controller and the glow plug. So let's get to work. Once again, I turn on the multimeter and switch it to the diode mode to check circuit continuity. I place one probe of the multimeter on the main round power connector, and with the other probe, I test each individual power circuit one by one. In my case, each glow plug circuit is located in the spot marked with a number on the screen. Depending on the make and model of the car you drive, this controller will look slightly different, but practically all of them work in exactly the same way. The main principle is very simple. If there is continuity, it means everything is fine. In every situation where the circuit is interrupted and we get no result, it means the circuit is burned out and not heating. If none of the circuits show any signs of life and you are unable to detect continuity in any way, it means the main power socket of the glow plug controller is burned out. And that is exactly what happened in my case. After discovering where the problem was, I sent the entire glow plug controller for regeneration, and when it came back to me, I installed it back in its place. Now, we will also check whether the new glow plugs that we screwed into the engine block are working properly, and for this, I will also need a multimeter. I set it to resistance measurement mode and choose the lowest available option, which in my case is 600 ohms. We will now measure the resistance of the glow plugs, and the result will tell us whether they are functional or not. With one probe of the meter, I touch the tip of each glow plug, and with the other probe, I close the circuit by touching a clean, polished part of the engine block, in this case, the intake runner, which allows the resistance reading of each glow plug to appear on the screen. As you can see, everything is within the perfect range, which means the glow plugs are ready for use. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment. It helps me create more content about repairing and servicing your car. It only takes 3 seconds, but it's a huge motivation for me, and I truly appreciate it. Now, the last but very important step, which is replacing the main power supply cable. If you are replacing or regenerating the glow plug controller, you should always replace the power supply cable, because looseness at its connection, which naturally appears over time, burns the main power pin, causing the entire glow plug controller to fail. If you replace the controller but leave the old cable, even if it looks very good and nothing indicates damage, it is possible that after 3 months it can destroy even a brand new control module. That is why it is better to spend an additional $30 on an original power cable, replace it immediately during the work, and forget about the glow system for many years. And now I will show you how to do it quickly and efficiently using a smart trick that will greatly make this task easier for you. For everything to go smoothly, the intake manifold must be removed, as you can see on the screen now. Otherwise, you will have problems with access, and honestly, it is not worth struggling blindly. The replacement of the cables itself requires the use of a very smart trick. But first, I will loosen one end using a wrench of the appropriate length with a socket, which I maneuver between the other cables. When loosening it, be careful with the washer as it can fall down. And in that case, you will have to remove the lower cover to retrieve it, which is a waste of time. Now, on the end of the cable that we have loosened, I tie a piece of string, which I will be able to use later while pulling the cable out. When it is already tied to the end that connects to the glow plug controller, I unplug the connector by gently sliding it downward. This is not an easy task. You have to struggle a bit to get your fingers in there, but in any case, it is much easier than removing the entire module. After disconnecting the plug, I pull everything out from the top, threading the string, which in a moment will greatly simplify the reinstallation. I already have a new cable prepared from the official store. I do not install aftermarket replacements, and I do not install used products because the glow plug controller itself is very expensive, and this is the most important element affecting its operation, so it must be of first-class quality. I cut the string and set the old cable aside. Then I attach the end of the string to the new cable, which allows me to pull it through very easily between all the components that prevent me from freely putting my hand inside. By routing it exactly the same way as the previous cable was installed, we have a guarantee that the new cable will not get wrapped around any pulleys or get burned by touching any hot components, which sometimes happens when someone tries to do it their own way. At the very end, I tighten everything back in the same order with the washer exactly as it was at the beginning. Checking the glow plug controller and the glow plugs themselves in the way I showed you in my videos will make your car start and run in the best possible conditions, which will definitely give you a lot of satisfaction, and I hope that's exactly what will happen. Now I'm going back to the car to put everything back together. Before I tighten the intake manifold back in place, I thoroughly clean the engine block at the gasket contact surface, and only then do I set the manifold onto its position. While everything is still loose, I first reconnect all the plugs and hoses at the back, because this gives me a bit more room for my hands. Then I reconnect all the components at the front, such as the electrical connectors, the EGR cooler hose, the throttle channel, and the oil dipstick bracket. At the end, I tighten the entire intake manifold evenly using a torque wrench, making sure not to exceed the maximum tightening torque, because these are delicate components and you must not overdo the amount of force. Then I install the engine cover, and I believe that from this stage on, you will handle everything on your own without any problems, because the rest is very easy to reinstall. and I invite you to the next episode. Take care.